Yo. All right. We should be ready to go. Oh, yeah. Sup, ladies and gentlemen, Ackland here, of course, welcome back to each and every one of you. If you're watching this over on YouTube, remember to hit the like button and also click the link in the description down below because it's always better when it's live. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the afternoon session on Friday, which effectively is the Q&A first, and then we're jumping into the Frozen Sodium Throne podcast. So if you've never seen one of those episodes, you're in for a treat. This is the first one that we will do live, so that's going to be super fun. I'm just waiting for everyone to sort of filter in, for everyone to arrive, waiting for Morny to get here. I'm not sure where Morny is, if he's even awake yet. I really hope that he is. I guess let me just quickly do a bit of a war room shout out here. Okay. Guess we'll also see if anyone shows up. Twitch usually doesn't like when you go live and then not live and then live again. Twitch is not a big fan of that. They prefer if you go live and you stay live. Evans, how you doing, brother? How you doing? I'm just waiting to see if Morning actually shows up. Lucid, how you doing, brother? How are you this morning? Hey, it's afternoon already, bro. But I'm good. How are you? Metal fan from hell, welcome back, brother. Welcome back. It's good to be back, bro. Been doing fine. Better now? Why better now? Alpin, how you doing? When is my birthday? I go, oh shit. Happy birthday, Alpin. Can we get some happy birthdays in chat for Alpin? I'm good, just getting ready for work. Oh shit. No, my power literally just came back online. Now we're online and we're waiting for morning to show up so we can do Azeroth-On-The-Line. So yeah, because I got to watch a streamer I like. Oh, Evans, that's good news, bro. Who? Who's that? Amaranth? Q&A time. Would you lose your dick in a fan or under a boulder? Under a boulder. Fuck you, Evans. Suki, God confirmed. Sunday's monthly burrito chapter will be fire. See, I don't know what the hell any of the words that you just said mean. Dumago, welcome back, brother. If it ain't the Echo Dog, ready for a legendary stream? Oh yeah. This is our second stream for the day, by the way. Tak, how you doing, brother? Yeah, we started today's stream with the morning session, which was basically just editing and sort of hanging out, you know, talking shit. And now we're back for the Q&A, and then after the Q&A, we're doing the podcast. So, lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of streaming today. Very much looking forward to it. I don't think Morny is awake, which is a huge problem, because how the fuck do I run the Q&A without Morny? That's going to make this Q&A very difficult to fucking do. Okay, you don't watch or read Naruto, you are missing out a slice of life. Dude, I do not read or watch jack shit. No, I don't do anime. Not a huge fan of anime. Nezabar, how you doing, bro? The only anime that I have watched so far would be what's the fucking thing called? Arcane and H-Runners. Those are the only two that I've ever watched. Cyberpunk, the game's amazing. I told you it's a good game. It's an awesome game. What time is it for Moni? I have no idea. I mean, I told Moni that we're doing the Q&A right now. And he said he'll be here. But I think what's happened is Moni doesn't know that South Africa, we don't have daylight savings time, so we don't change our clocks at all. So, you guys fuck around with your watches for some stupid reason that I've never been able to understand. Digit, how you doing, bro? Did you see that Yuki Naka from Square Enix was arrested for inside trading? Yuhu Naki, I don't know who the hell that is, DeMarco. What inside trading did he do? Did he tell people about a new game that's coming out or a game that's not coming out? I don't know. I can help you out with filtering questions if you like, Hako. Just give me a quick overview, what you need done, and I'll do it. Abaddon, that might actually fucking help, yes. That might actually help. So, if you jump into the Q&A lobby, right? If you jump into the Q&A lobby, I'll quickly pull you in, and I'll explain how the Q&A is run, and I will really appreciate that. And Grow, if you scale Kratos, he is comic and anime power level 2. He bought stocks thanks to knowing of incoming purchase. Nothing too important. All right. Yeah, but I'm going to tell you now, I think that most billionaires do insider trading. The difference is just most of them have enough connections to never get caught. But no, I think most of them do it. Abaddon, how you doing, bro?
You alright, fella? How's it going?
All right, so basically the only thing you need to do is in the channel below, just make sure, the people's mics are working and shit like that. And then you go to this Q&A questions under sub-fam. I don't know. You can see it probably. You should be able to. Yeah. Q&A questions. You'll see that if you go up, right, you'll see that Moni marks questions with a sort of a tick, just to say, all right, this question's been asked and answered. So it's basically all of the questions that doesn't have a tick to it. Those are the ones that you want to ask. And then, of course, you always give people that is in the lobby, so people that is waiting, you give them preference. And also, usually, we go from the newer ones. So, for example, I'd say for today's, you could probably start at probably Sophorus, right? Sophorus, or just below him, Aldile, and then just work your way up and down, if you reach the bottom, just go up because there's more, and just remember to mark them with a tick mark to say, okay, those questions have been asked. And maybe, hopefully, Moni shows up somewhere through all of this.
Okay, sorry, just to check, because I'm in the Q&A questions bit, and the only one I can see today is Ace Shinigami's question.
Yeah, that's for today. But if you look above him, there's Blue Water, then there's Shadow of Death, then there's Burby TV, Awkward Lad, Khal Drogo, Burby TV again, Armchair Rockstar. Can you see those questions?
Oh, yeah, I can see him. So it's basically everybody below the last tick is eligible, right?
Yeah, you're the last tick, as you can see there. It's not that the people above the last tick would also be eligible. It's just because it's older questions. We always try to give some of the newer questions a bit more preference. But I mean, while I'm answering the questions, you're welcome to scroll up and look at the questions and go, oh shit, this looks like a really interesting question. Let me get this one next, or whatever the case may be. And then obviously anyone that is in the Q&A lobby, they should get preference anyways, because they're in there, they're waiting for voice channel. So yeah, that's basically it. Okay,
sure, no problem. Just let us know when you want to get going.
All right, I'm gonna move you down, and then I'll tell you which is the first question. What you can do. Let me just see. So yeah, for the question, but actually you might want to stay in the channel, because I'm going to ask you what's the next question, and you have to tell me what the question is. Otherwise I have to spend way too much time scrolling up and down. So
yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
The only guy in the Q&A lobby at the moment is Domagoj, and I can't see a question for him anyway, so it looks like we can just go through the written one.
Yeah, you can just message him and ask him if he has a question, and if he does, you can pull him in, or tell me to pull him in. But we'll start with a few questions from the Discord already, and then we'll just move from there. Domago will let us know. I'm pretty sure he does have questions, actually. Yeah, actually, I'm pretty sure Domago does have questions, so I'm just gonna move him in right now. I don't know if he's in the stream, so
Doma, you're on mute, just a note, in case that's a problem.
yeah. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are gonna start the Q&A right now. I do apologize for the slight delay. Morny isn't here at the minute. I don't know where he is. So yeah, we just quickly had to make a bit of a pivot, I guess you could say, call an audible. But we do have Avedon stepping in, so big hearts in chat for Avedon, for taking the lead and actually stepping in. Really appreciate it, Avedon. And then we'll start with Domago. How you doing, bro?
Hello, brother. Long time no see.
Oh yeah. No, it's been a fucking age, bro. Like, how you doing?
Well, really good. Like, I'm finished with my master's thesis, and I have a little more time for degenerates now.
Ah, nice. I like it. I'm here for that. So, Domago, what is your question, bro?
Okay, I made several, but few are probably outdated by now.
Okay.
I'll start with the one which I mentioned earlier this morning.
Yes.
About the Titans and other stuff.
Okay.
I know you like those.
Yes, always.
So, the Titan slide to us speculation is very popular these days, especially with you.
Yeah.
And if we consider that during the later stages of the, well, let's say so-called ordering of Azeroth,
Okay.
the Titans were busy elsewhere, and later they were, well, kind of dead or defeated by Sargeras.
Yeah.
Do you think it's possible that the Keepers tried to keep the world in what their understanding of order is? That is, that they tried to follow the blueprints of the Titans without actually having their input of information. You know, Odin says that he acts as under the authority or something like that of the Titans, not actually following their literal orders at the present time.
Yeah. Okay, so there's a couple of things that I guess we should talk about first. And the first thing is the creation of Titan Keepers. So Titan Keepers are servants. They're effectively the same as the constructs that we see within the Shadowlands. They operate under sort of a let's say software. So there's a code that's written into them at the moment of their creation, and I'm assuming that this code would look something like, do no harm, unless of course the harm is to stop harm to Azeroth or whatever the case may be, right? So they do have it's interesting, for example, that at the reordering, so the button that would basically reset the whole of Azeroth, the Titans chose not to put a keeper there, but rather a constellar, right? So there we had Algalon, that sort of oversaw it. So basically, the Titans realized that this is an important enough button that a keeper can't do this. There has to be some level of free will within that pressing of the button, because the Consular was effectively, after he fought us, he was like, okay, sure, this planet is entirely corrupted, but, you guys are very strong. I'm sure you guys are going to be able to handle this. Okay, so basically, it's from that we can sort of extrapolate that the Keepers do not have a lot of leeway when it comes to what they do and what they don't do. Now, it almost seems to me, and this is literally just based on my own speculation and sort of headcanon, it seems like there are also different levels of Titan Keeper. So if you look at Odin, and you look at Loken, and you look at Raden and those guys, they seem to be tier 1. So there seems to be a lot of rigid thinking. So a lot of, this is what I was made for and this is what I do. But then also some shall we say, free will. So Odin, for example, the things that Odin did doesn't appear to be... I don't think the Titans would have signed off on this, especially considering that none of the other keepers signed off on it. So either Odin got fucked around with by the old gods to the point where the old gods managed to sneak in a little bit of, a spirit of disobedience within Odin, or they all have this spirit of disobedience within them, and Odin was the only one that managed to act on it. Now, I imagine within this code, right? So within this code that basically, this is your loyalty, these are your duties and whatnot, there is also the code of what the Titans would do and how the Titans would act. And I absolutely agree with you. So there's a number of times that right now is, at least for me, very weird when it comes to the timeline. Okay, so we know that sometime after the Titans first came to Azeroth, so sometime after that, remember the Titans came to Azeroth, they ordered a bunch of things, they made the Keepers, and then they left. And then they went to Sargeras, and they spoke to Sargeras. And they told Sargeras about this planet that they had found that's the strongest planet they've ever discovered, more powerful than any of them, and that Sargeras just needs to wait, because once she's born, she will rule the galaxy, and the old gods will stand no chance. Sargeras goes, nah, fuck it, kill them all, right? And then the dragon aspect gets created. Now, either the dragon aspects were created before this moment that they die, or the dragon aspects were created after this moment. Now, before this moment, the Titans were on Azeroth. After this moment, the Titans were dead. So, where exactly were the dragonflights created? Where were the aspects' origins? Because that would really affect who made the aspects in the first place. Now, there could have been many, many decades and millennia that spanned, from where the Titans left Azeroth to where the Titans died to Sargeras. Sadly, we don't really have a timeline of those events. We kind of have a timeline, but we don't have time spans between these events. We just know how the events took place. So that's sort of... that's annoying, but insofar as did the Titan Keepers do a bunch of things that maybe the Titans did not decide upon? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think the Titan Keepers have been doing a lot of things that the Titans would not necessarily have signed off on. Like, for example, Odin, making his entire own heaven. Because, fuck, the Shadowlands, I suppose. And Odin making deals with beings like Muazala within the other side to be able to see within the Shadowlands, and this gives him the ability to create his own army, so to speak. No one's ever told us exactly what Odin needs this army for. Like, why is none of the other Titan Keepers... So all the other Titan Keepers are perfectly happy working with things like the Earthen and the other constructs that the Titans have created. Except for Odin, who's the only one that's going, nah, I shall not. I shall do my own thing. And it's kind of weird, right? It is kind of weird. So yeah, that's sort of, at least at this point, where I would... that's the best way I can answer it. Because I don't know if you were building up to some point that maybe I'm missing. But... yeah, that's just the straightforward answer, is absolutely. I think the Titan Keepers are acting right now of their own volition.
Yeah, I was actually building towards that artifact that we mentioned this morning from the trailer. Okay. Like, to what extent do you think that that artifact was showing the will of the Titans, irrelevant if it's the actual Titans or the Keepers, or the artifact is something completely else, which the Titan Keepers appropriated?
Yeah. So, there are relics on Azeroth that we know are Titan relics. Not relics that was made by the Titan Keepers, but relics that were left by the Titans for the Keepers to actually be able to do their jobs. There's many of these relics. The same with the forges. The forges exist. They were made by the Titans, but the Titan keepers can use these forges in order to do their, follow their duties or carry out their duties. I believe that this specific Titan relic is a relic of Titan domination. Now, again, we probably have to just very quickly go over this. Domination magic, much like necromancy, is just a form of magic. It's just a type of magic. And you can achieve domination through arcane, you can achieve domination through foul, you can achieve domination through death. It really is, because we know that it was the Primus literally just wrote domination magic. He just wrote the language for it. It's just a bunch of runes. So the Titans have the same runes. The Titans operate on the same language because they're both children of the first ones. And so the Titans almost definitely also figured out how to create this quote-unquote domination magic, this domination language, if you will. And I think that this relic, this artifact that Deathwing had, I think that this is a relic of the Titans used for control. This may actually be how the Titans controlled a lot of the Earthen and the Keepers. And that could be why the old gods cursed them with the gift of flesh. Right? Because the relic may have been aligned with the constructs. So in other words, the constructs would just automatically follow whatever the relic demanded of them. And so it was Tyr that first started fiddling with it to maybe dominate or control the proto-drakes that would eventually become the aspects. And then Deathwing used it after him to control the Drakthir. So in other words, this became eventually a weapon of domination in the hands of a normal dragon instead of where it should have been, which is a Titan relic locked up in some vault somewhere. That could be that would be my guess, right? But that's just very not necessarily as well thought out as it should be, I guess.
Yes, but let's attempt just a little more to diverge into it.
Mm-hmm.
The issue I have with I know that I agree with you that pretty much every force has its own version of domination that is beyond dispute. We have actually seen many of those forces in effect using some sort of domination.
Mm-hmm.
Some call it insanity, some call it fell rage, blah blah, whatever.
Yeah.
The issue I have is why did they then use it just on the keepers and the other lesser constructs? Because if we remember what the Algalon said, well, first Algalon himself, he doesn't seem to be under any form of control. He actually appears to be serving the Titans of his own free will. And he mentioned that he saw like millions of civilizations destroyed by the Titans because they weren't following the ways of the Order. And we were the first that defied it. So how does that play into domination? Why didn't they just dominate every single species that they encountered?
Okay, so there's a limit to the amount of things that you can dominate. We saw this even with the Helm of Domination, which was arguably, at least according to the Primus and Zuval, the most powerful weapons ever created. And the Helm of Domination had a limit to the amount of things that it can actually control. Arthas at some point started to extend the control to where he was losing grip over his minions because he was just controlling too many things at one point, and it becomes almost impossible to do so because in order to control, there needs to be an active it's an active process. It's not a process. It's not passive. So you can't just let it run. This is where I would say, if we really want to be finicky and we really want to sort of nitpick at this, it appears as if the Titan relic of control that Tyr used, as well as the one that Deathwing ultimately used for the Drakthir, coincides very simply to creatures that are already loyal to you will become almost unquestioningly loyal when you have this artifact. and it might be that the Drakthir within their creation process, this language was included. Perhaps that's what we saw when Maligo sent his magic out and we saw those runes popping out of the floor. What if those runes are part of their DNA? So they have that control, that domination magic is written into their DNA, because we could see it even after they awoke. They still don't, like, the relic is broken, right? The artifact is no longer around. It hasn't been around for 20,000 years already, and they still only follow Deathwing. It wasn't until they were told that Deathwing is dead that they finally said, okay, we'll follow Abyssian. Right? So that's sort of where, I don't know, right? This is where the theory sort of becomes thin, because we know so little about what that relic actually does and what that artifact ultimately does.
Yeah, that's perfectly understandable. Like, but I like to expand on the speculations that actually make some sort of sense.
Yeah.
And Q&A is perfect place for that.
Oh yeah. Q&A is fucking amazing for speculation.
Though, now you mentioned earlier the forges that the Titans build. Something crossed my mind, if I still have time to ask.
Bro, the floor is yours.
Okay. So in Dragonflight we have this wellspring of living waters. Now I haven't been actually following. Did we encounter any more lore about that?
Not that
Beyond what we knew these weeks before.
No, we know that the Titan Keepers at some point introduced Arcane into the Living Waters in order to stabilize them. And that the Living Waters also, let's say, it informs the dragon aspects of order. And, it sort of, it tries to educate them on what order looks like and why order is so important. Steve Denuser was very careful in one of the interviews to not call it mind control. So they're not controlling the aspects, but they are re-educating the aspects, making sure that the aspects understand order is everything, and without order there would be death everywhere. That bothers the living fuck out of me, but never mind. We'll just run with that for now. But as far as I know, that's really the only thing we know.
Okay, so we saw that wellspring was contaminated by Yogg-Saron, and this is not a new concept. Like earlier, we had the Forge of Wills corrupted, and according to old lore, it used Azeroth's own life essence to create sentient beings.
Yeah.
Now, those parts, sentient and alive, are now under question, of course, concerning the things we saw in Zereth Mortis and the constructs and everything. Now, also its main purpose was shaping or maybe programming the sentience of the world soul. And the origination, of course, would shape the actual form of the Titan itself, if it is a Titan. How do you think those holes of infusion and Ulduras will play into that lore? Do you think they will adapt the former lore, or they will retcon it?
I think there's going to be some retconning, but it's going to be It's going to be similar to the retconning that's been happening up until now, because a lot of the forges and stuff on Azeroth, we know sort of through hearsay what they do. We don't really know what they do. We have kind of an idea. So for the Forge of Wills, for example, we kind of have an idea, and we've had some lore about it, but it's almost always been hearsay. We've never really known what most of those forges do. So this is perfect when it comes to retcons, because here, it's not so much retcon as it is providing context and actually giving players the insights into what they do. But I think we are going to find out in Dragonflight that the Titans have introduced a very strict breakfast of order and control on Azeroth. Making basically, if I'm correct, the Forges is meant to counterbalance the old gods. So when they tried to rip Yesaraj out of the planet, they realized that this would kill Azeroth, and that's a problem. So then they lock up the old gods. Now, what the prisons of the old gods do is it slows down the corruption, but it does not stop it. There's no way to eliminate the corruption. How do we know this? Because we see it everywhere. Yogg-Saron is imprisoned, and yet he continues to corrupt. N'Zoth was in prison, and yet he still had a lot of influence, and his corruption kept spreading just a lot slower. So in my opinion, these forges are meant to be like a counter drip. So when you go to the hospital, for example, and they put you on an IV drip with a steady flow of antibiotics, you have the disease within your body that is just causing a lot of problems, and then you have these antibiotics that is pumped into you to fight this disease. So think of the old gods as the disease from the viewpoint or the perspective of the Titans, and they have these forges that basically just enforce this idea of control and of order onto Azeroth, so that Azeroth will be born as a Titan rather than an old god Titan or a void Titan, as Sargeras have told us is possible, and that's what those forges do. So I think that's what we're going to discover in Dragonflight.
Yeah, I was actually hoping that they will tell us more about the old forges, because if they forget about that lore and just do nothing with it, I think that would be a waste. I mean, they're already revisiting the Uldaman and all the other Titan facilities, so I was hoping we will get more. I'm actually disappointed we already didn't get more.
No, I think we will. This expansion, I mean, takes us back to the early days of World of Warcraft. This is the opportunity for Blizzard to really dive into the primordial lore, so to speak, of World of Warcraft, because the Dragonauts were around, and there's now new leaked maps and things floating around that shows that the Dragonauts were actually part of the original Kalimdor, Land of Eternal Stars, before the first Sundering took place. So this land has basically seen the beginning of everything, right? So yeah, I would argue, sorry, not leak, but there's images floating around, speculation floating around. If you look at the maps, they look very similar. And if you look at the map of the Dragonauts, it does look like it broke away from something. So it is entirely possible that speculation is true. And if that is true, then this is the time for Blizzard to dive into just all of the old lore and really make it make sense and make it count. The only thing that could counteract that is if Steve Denuza really wants to distance himself from the old lore. He doesn't want to get into the old lore. He would like to sort of, start afresh and have his own story. Which would be very sad, because there's a lot of questions that remain unanswered to this day that I think a lot of us as players would love to see answered. So yeah, that would be super sad.
Yeah, I mean, the more Steve the user, less World of Warcraft. We all can agree pretty much on that.
Yeah, true. Domagos, were those your only questions?
I have one more, if you don't mind.
Okay, let me just...
I will be quick.
Okay, yeah, ask away, bro.
So, in one of the earlier Q&As, I think 2 weeks ago, you mentioned that we now know that Titans, of course, originate in Azeroth-On-The-Line. And you also mentioned that Titans didn't originate as world souls.
Yeah.
Now, we know that at least one did, Argus, we saw it. And do you think maybe that the Titans aren't as robotic as Eternals, but instead had their, let's say, core created and then plunged into a suitable world to feed and grow on its elemental energies, creating all sorts of fuck-ups like we see on Azeroth?
Yeah, okay,
giving them form.
Just to be clear, I never said that the Titans weren't nascent world souls. I just said that the creation of those world souls are now a lot more clear, right? Those world souls come from Azeroth Ordis. They were then sent into the Great Beyond, and they each got their own planet. Very similar to the Eternal Ones. The Eternal Ones are created within Zereth Mortis, and then they're given their own realm within the Shadowlands. But if you look at the job that the Eternal Ones have within the Shadowlands, it's a lot more straightforward. Right? Their job is to guard the souls and to ensure that the flow of anima never stops. If you look at the job that the Titans have, it's a lot bigger. The Great Beyond is very large, and therefore you need a lot more. So it may have been just an efficiency thing. So the first ones looked at this and said, wait, if we have to create constructs, like fully formed constructs, for this entire world, it might be too slow. We're not going to be able to keep up with it. So what if we just create the soul, and then we allow the soul to grow on its own time, and then once birthed, it can start performing its duties. So it may just have been an efficiency thing. But no, I absolutely still believe that the Titans are world souls. It's just not as the Titans themselves explain it. Which is, again, just a clear example of the lies of the Titans. The Titans, in their own book, the Chronicles, tell us that there was an ocean of light, and from the ocean of light came an explosion, and all the world souls traveled to nearby stars where they settled, and eventually mass formed around them, which become the planets, and then they were born. Clearly bullshit. Like, clearly bullshit.
No, maybe they did see light in their Zereth Orders.
Maybe. The ocean part is interesting, right? Because we know that there are waters in Zereth Mortis. So when they say ocean of light, maybe that is exactly what they're referring to. Their birthplace, the place where they come from originally, was an ocean. There was a lot of water. And it is from there that they come, so they call it an ocean. This now sort of starts building into another theory that I have, especially now that I've played through Zereth Mortis' storyline, and I've seen so many things in Zereth Mortis that I don't know why more people aren't talking about it. You see, this is why I can never fucking leave the game. I should just always play the game, because I read every single quest that there was in Zereth Mortis. I read all of the lore. I watched the videos of people talking about the lore, and not a single fucking asshole made mention of the fruits all throughout Zereth Mortis. These unknown fruits that when you eat them, literally gives you a buff that says the light is within you. Now, Zereth Mortis is a place of death. What is the light doing there? Why are there fruits there that place the light inside of you? That makes no sense. That makes no sense. It shouldn't be there. And then the Titans say that they were born in an ocean of light. And I say, what if light won the war a very, very long time ago? Remember, we know that the cosmic forces fight against each other for control. So it's entirely possible that the light won the war a really long time ago, and that all of these Zereth realms that we see is of the light. It's to create the ultimate control, and this is where the curse of flesh comes from. Because the curse of flesh breaks from these Zereth realms. This is why we, the mortals of Azeroth, the ones who were cursed of flesh, this is why we don't have that problem. We don't die in the Shadowlands. Our souls do not venture into the Shadowlands. Perhaps this is the reason. Because, we are not of the light. We are not controlled within that system to the same extent as the others are. This just, again, Azeroth coming from, a different place, or Azeroth being completely different, could play into this. So there's there's just a lot of question marks around the origins of the Titans right now. But of course, all of that comes from, can we even trust the books that we read? because the books were written by the keepers. Could it be that the keeper who wrote the book, Tyr, in this instance, could it be that he wanted to lie to us about a couple of things, and that's why he made the books, and he changed a lot of things so that if someone ever found these books, they would read one thing but not actually discover the truth? That's also possible, right? Anything at this point is possible, and it's all kind of up in the air at this point.
Yeah, I think that there is truth in pretty much every book that we so encountered, and that there is also quite a bit of bullshit in every book.
Yeah.
And it's up to the upcoming lore for us to discover which is an actual truth and which is a construct of the others. Yeah. And maybe you should make a lore video recapping everything that we have seen so far. That would be actually something I would look forward to.
I would definitely try, but that would be a lot of things, but I don't have a problem doing it. I will say though, my starting point has always been, I believe everything from all forces. So whenever I read something from a force like Xalatath and all of her whispers, I believe every single one of those whispers until they're proven to be lies. Because, so my problem has always been this, and this happened a lot back in the day. I remember when I was still very much speculating, and Pyromancer would speculate. And then Pyromancer would, he would dismiss some of the whispers as just complete lies. He would just say, oh, this is just a lie. But then the reason he dismisses it as a lie is because that whisper would go directly against his theory. So he dismisses whatever he says, because the Void sees all truths, they tell a lot of lies and you can't trust anything they say. And I've always had this problem, and I said it way back in the day as well, and this is not going after Pyromancer, everyone does what they do. But my problem has always been, you can't just pick and choose which whispers to believe. Unless you have evidence to suggest that a whisper is objectively false, you have to accept all of them as true, or you have to accept all of them as a lie. I have gone the way of saying all of it is true. This is the same with all of the lore books we find. Everything that we find, I go, right, this is true. How does this change theories? How does this affect my view of the world around me? Until I find objective evidence to show that this is actually not true, this is clearly false, in which case, yes, then I'm happy to reject it because we now have the counter evidence for it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that part. Either dismiss everything or accept everything and look for the truth. Okay, that's everything I had. Sorry, it took quite some time.
No, it's fine, bro.
I made one question like weeks ago, and then as I missed few streams and you made new theories, it kind of built it up. So Digit and Taki, I'm sorry that I wasted some of your time, and I will go to the chat now and let the others ask their questions. Thank you, Eklon, for having me.
Thank you very much, Dogma. I really appreciate it, brother. Take care of yourself, man. All right. Let me just quickly see your Saban Raven. How you doing, by the way? Saban, I missed one of your messages, and also I just want to say I saw some people bad-mouthing the Horde a little earlier. Tizzy, you said some shit about the Horde. You can go fuck yourself, son. You and I are gonna have an unscheduled fight here soon. You guys think I don't read chat? I read chat. I don't respond immediately, but I fucking see what you guys write. Don't say bad things about the Horde, bro. Like, the Horde is your master, bitch. All right. So I'm assuming, who's next? Abaddon.
Yeah, next we've got Tucky B, who's in the lobby, and he has a question about the Emperor.
Oh. All right, I'm pulling him up now. Tucky B, how you doing, brother?
Hey.
Tucky, get in you, bro.
There you go, mate.
Not bad, bro, not bad. I heard you have a question about the Emperor.
Oh, I do, mate. I actually only just saw your heading? Like, were we only meant to do like Warcraft questions today or something?
Nah, fuck, bro. Like, ask whatever the fuck you want. I just call it Azeroth-On-Line because the majority of questions is World of Warcraft related, but I answer all questions if I can.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so my question was, have you made any progress on your theory about who the Emperor of Mankind is? Since you've been...
Yeah, kind of. Like, okay, so... I believe that the Emperor of Man, the Emperor of Mankind, and I believe there's enough evidence to suggest this. So, every universe will have will have opposite things, right? So if you have a heaven, you will almost definitely have a hell. If you have life, you will almost definitely have death. This is just the counterbalance of the universe. And we see a lot of these balancing acts and balancing structures within Warhammer itself. So this started to make me think, okay, wait, if you have a warp, this is where souls go when they die, then you almost certainly have to have a place where the souls are born. No, because souls have to be created somewhere. You can't just say, well, souls come from nowhere and then they go into the warp upon death. Well, that makes no sense. What is the counteract or the counterbalance to the warp then? Something has to counterbalance that. And then I started going through a lot of things here. You know, I started piecing a lot of things together because the Emperor he spends most of his life destroying and eradicating religion wherever he can. And he comes up with this thing called the Imperial Truth, which is supposed to sort of substitute all need for religion within the within the Empire of Man, the Imperium of Man. Okay. Then he dies. He dies to his son, which he knew would actually betray him. Like, he knew that Horus would betray him because him and Malachi, I believe it's Malkador. It was Malkador. Him and Malkador saw a vision where the War Master would actually turn to chaos. And yet, he still makes Horus the War Master. And Lionel Johnson, who would have probably been the best War Master, mainly because even when Zeech's general went to Lionel Johnson, he could find no way to actually corrupt Lionel Johnson. There was just anywhere in his past or in his future, was there anything that he could sort of start, any threat that he could start pull on in order to corrupt Lionel Johnson. And yet he still decided to make Horus the War Master of the Imperium of Man. And then what happens after the Emperor dies? The Emperor now sits on the Golden Throne, and the Imperium of Man worships him as a god. Okay. Now, everyone there looks at it and says, well, the Emperor didn't know what the fuck he was doing. Half the time, the Emperor just made mistakes. And I'm going, what if it was all planned? What if the Emperor is a being that was sent from the place where souls are made? So the opposite of the warp. The Emperor is their servant. The Emperor then chose humanity because humanity is the only being that is capable of doing what the Emperor and this other side requires, which is humanity is quite impressionable. Like, you can actually affect the way that humans think about the world. But humanity also requires religion. It requires it. If you remove religion, it doesn't take long before humanity comes up with a new kind of religion. This is literally throughout our entire history. You can follow the trends. Humanity has never been able to not be religious. Even atheists are religious in their atheism. You know, so there's religion everywhere. Everyone is religious about something because that's just human nature. And so these beings, whoever they are, of the opposite of the warp, they realized that the warp is getting too powerful. What spurred this on, in my opinion, was the war in heaven. So prior to the war in heaven, the galaxy as a whole was in balance. You had the place where souls were born. These souls would then live, they would die, and they would go into the warp. I don't know if there were chaos gods or warp gods at that point, probably, but I'm assuming that the warp gods existed. So Zeech would have still existed. You would have had Khorne. You would have had not Slanesh, because he was actually created, I think. He was created by the Eldari. But you would have had Zeech, Khorne, and Nurgle. But they would not have been this chaos version of themselves now. Right? If you look at them, so the way I look at the Chaos Gods, and I realize that this theory is all over the place, but that's because this universe is so big that it's very difficult to put everything in chronological order without actually writing the script for it. But if you look at the Chaos Gods, Nurgle, for example, is considered the Chaos God of life and death. Right? He achieves life through pestilence. So sickness creates new types of life, but that's still life. Well, what if before the War in Heaven, Nurgle was actually truly the god of life? So Nurgle was really a good guy. He wasn't this disease-ridden, pestilence guy. He was just a good god. Right? He helped the mortals. He helped living beings live good and decent lives so that their souls may end up within the warp. And then the War in Heaven happens, and it sends millions, billions of souls into the warp that completely stains and changes the warp into this chaotic mess that we have now. And this is where this other entity, whatever this other entity is where souls are born, this is where they realize they have a problem. Because the warp is no longer fulfilling their duty as it was meant to do. The Chaos Gods are now directly intervening into the system. So before, the Chaos Gods or the Warp Gods weren't allowed to interfere with the Materium. They left the Materium to its own devices. They were of the Immaterium, and so to the realm of the souls. They didn't interfere in the Materium. But now that the Warp Gods or the Chaos Gods have started to interfere with the Materium, this other side required something. They required their own group of soldiers, and so they sent the Emperor of Man. Because the Emperor of Man knew that he can't truly stand against the Chaos Gods because he can't kill a Chaos God. For him to kill a Chaos God, he would need to be inside the warp. This is the only place he can do so. But how does one get into the warp? Well, one must become Immaterium. But how does one become Immaterium? Well, there's a couple of ways. You could die, but if you're a perpetual, like the Emperor of Man, you'll return as Materium. So what you need is to die but not die, and then be worshipped into existence within the warp. And this is exactly what's happening now. There's so many theories out there that suggest that the Emperor of Man is actually being worshipped into existence within the warp. And this is where the Emperor of Man will make his final stand against the gods of chaos and ultimately kill them so that the universe can once again return to a sense of balance. That's my theory, and there's some bits and pieces that I've left out of it, but that's the sort of broad strokes theory that I have going at the moment for who the Emperor of Man actually is. And I'm not sure if there's anyone else that has.
That's a pretty great theory for someone that's just started learning the lore.
I mean, I've been consuming this shit like a fucking motherfucker.
But, I do have two things that you said there that might interest you, though.
Yeah, please.
About it. Firstly, okay, the second one's more interesting, but the first one, the thing about the Chaos Gods, when they say that the Chaos Gods have this like alternate side, they sort of make it sound like this alternate side is like good, sort of it reflects good. It's actually, think of it like chaos propaganda. It's actually like the lure of chaos. It's like how they get the weak-minded people to sort of fall into chaos.
Yeah.
It is a it's a trick that sort of, and I don't think people really mention that enough. They kind of say that there's like a flip side of it, but they don't really talk about that.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it is. The other interesting thing was, have you heard of Dracnian? Story Dracnian?
No, I don't think
So-
I've learned about him yet, or whatever.
Okay, yeah. So Dracnian is actually an essence of the first human murder, and it actually had a corporeal form that attacked the Emperor in battle, and actually was going to slay the Emperor.
What?
And it is actually considered like the fall of mankind in 40k, and that essence was actually trapped in a weapon. It was contained in a weapon that's actually wielded by the Warmaster of Chaos. That sword that he has is actually an essence, a demon. I don't know if it's a demon essence. Like I think it's a demon weapon, but I don't know if it's actually a demon. This entity.
Yeah.
For all intents and purposes, it's called a demon, right? So we'll just say it's a demon weapon. So this demon weapon is actually so powerful that it actually cuts through like reality.
Yeah.
It can actually
the
just
Emperor's
cut through tanks and
the Emperor's sword
it's
can
like
literally kill demons. It's like the only thing that can
this
end
is the
them
chaos
forever.
version of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is the chaos version of it. Dracnian is the chaos version of the Emperor's sword. If you actually look on the rulebook for Warhammer,
Yeah.
Gilliman has the Emperor's sword and
Yeah.
Abaddon has Dracnian.
Oh.
So that's actually the counterbalance that you're talking about in your theory.
yeah.
In like to some extent.
Yeah, just
So,
more evidence
yeah.
of counterbalance always. Okay.
Yeah.
Shit. That
So,
is cool.
it's a really interesting story, that one.
Yeah.
It sort of might add a little bit to it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Right now I'm learning about Mortarion and the Plague Marines. Are they called the Death Guard? I think they're called Death's Guard. Mortarion is like the subject of Gilliman's travels at the minute in the Dark Imperium Plague War. So I'm learning quite a lot about him. I have literally only heard of, like, Gilliman will sometimes mention Abaddon and his Dark Crusades, but Abaddon is not featured yet as a quote-unquote, bad guy in the story. But
In
yeah.
In the Warhammer Fantasy, the equivalent of Abaddon is another character called Archaon, and
Yeah.
he actually ends the Warhammer. Like, Warhammer actually ended. They recreated the world. Like, they restarted the world. Like, Archaon actually, like, ends the world.
Jesus.
Chaos
Okay.
wins.
Wow. All right.
Essentially.
Well, let's hope that doesn't happen in
Yeah.
Warhammer 40k. Because I
Yeah.
actually like the world that it is now. The way that it is now. At least.
That's not exactly how it happened, but I mean, he started, look, it's just like getting into the weeds. Like,
Yeah.
essentially there was chaos and there was like a big undead sort of thing that happened. It was like a culmination of things, but
Yeah.
he's equivalent to Abaddon in a lot of ways. Yeah.
Okay. I'll check it out. I'll definitely check it out. Thanks, Tucky. I really appreciate that. And also, thanks
Yeah.
for asking the question. I've been wanting to share that theory for a while. So I really appreciate that, bro.
I heard you mention that you had a theory on it. I was like, oh god, I wonder when he's gonna share the theory. And I was like, oh, maybe he's got a good update on it.
Yeah. I
Have a
mean,
good one, mate.
I'm still working on it, but hopefully I'll have a complete theory, like a 44-minute Luton-style video one day on the whole theory. Once I've read all 700 and fuck off books within the Warhammer universe. Dude, that's the one thing that's just breaking my spirit. It's like, do I have time to read all of these books before I start making videos on them? And I think the answer is no. So the way I'm going to do it now is just, I've finished the first book of Dark Imperium, so I'm probably going to start making some videos on the first book, just talking about like a book review of the first one, and there's about 4 or 5 videos that I'm probably going to make out of that book. I'll just make book reviews, as I go, but in the form of lore. And we'll see how that goes. So yeah. I'm really looking forward to starting my Warhammer content creation journey. But thanks for the question, Tucky. Really appreciate it, brother. Take care of yourself, man.
Yeah, I'll let everyone else jump in. Have a good one, man.
All right. Peace out, bro.
See ya.
Peace. Just 700 and fuck off. Not 700 die? Dude, no, you can't die from those books. They're so good. We'll read all the books at the same time. We want Morozond, but not too fast. All right. Who is next? Abaddon.
Next, we have Digitmerc, who's in the lobby. He has got a couple of questions centering around the primal dragons and Thrall's inclusion in Dragonflight.
All right. Cool stuff. Digit, you German bastard. How you doing, bro?
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you, brother. How you doing?
Nice, good. This time without any delays. That's good.
Digit, what is your question, bro?
Well, since we are all about dragons again now, I've been having serious thoughts about the dragons, not just the dragon aspects, but the primalist dragons, since they are different to the aspects,
Yeah.
I wonder what happens if a primalist dragon gets absorbed the void potency fully fledged. How insane would he become?
Are you asking if a primal incarnate absorbed void potency, how powerful would they become?
Yeah, it's a power level question, yeah.
Okay, so it depends on which theory we're going to go with, because obviously we don't know much yet. Okay, so we have to sort of we have to rely a lot on hate canon here, so I do apologize ahead of time for anyone that hates hate canon.
No problem.
I don't know why they would be in this channel even, but, never mind. So from a hate canon perspective, the way that I look at it, because if you watch that cinematic again, Razageth, when Rathian says to Razageth that I had hoped to become more, to become what he was meant to be, Razageth almost feels insulted by the idea that an aspect could ever become what a dragon is meant to be. So in other words, it's as if for Razageth and for the other primal incarnates, the aspects, the creation of the aspects limited what dragons were meant to be. It made them weaker. It didn't make them stronger, in her opinion. Now, from this, all we have to do is go back to Galakron to realize that proto-drakes, and we would talk about, in this instance, unaspected proto-drakes. So the same way that you get Chaos Undivided in Warhammer 40k, unaspected proto-drakes. So they are limitless in how much power they can accrue. Galakron was so powerful that it took all 5 of the would-be dragon aspects plus a Titan Keeper, and the only way they could kill him was to make him choke on a rock. They couldn't even kill him. They effectively just shoved a giant rock down his throat and watched him choke on it. Because otherwise they would have all died there. Galakron would have killed all of them. So this suggests that the primal incarnates do not even need to absorb void magic. They have an unlimited source of magic from the elemental magic. So here we have to go a little bit towards the cosmological map. If you look at the cosmological map, you have the 6 cosmological forces, right? Those are sort of, according to Steve Denuser at least, that's the high magic of the universe. So you have life, death, order, disorder, void, and light. Those are the 6 forces. But then you have what is considered to be the elemental forces of Azeroth. And this is supposed to be the primal magics of our universe. So this is the origins of it. All of the cosmological forces, they were created from the primal magics of Azeroth, so to speak, or of the Great Beyond. So the primal magics of the Great Beyond is most likely far more powerful than any of the other powers because they are primal. They're baked into everything we do, into everything we have. These primal forces and these primal elements are everywhere. So these dragons effectively have an unlimited supply of magic from which they can draw, because their magic is ever renewed. It's a renewed magic form. So they can literally just keep drawing upon it, and they will just get infinitely more strong the longer they do it for. So this is where you sort of get to it's probably a time thing, so the longer they have to absorb these powers, the more powerful they can grow as a result of it. So I do think this might be our toughest challenge to date, is taking care of these primal incarnates. Because unlike any of the other foes that we have ever fought, we also don't even know necessarily what their grand plan is. Because all of the other forces of Azeroth that we have fought, all of the other foes, have always wanted to end Azeroth, right? That was sort of always the big sort of we're going to end Azeroth, and that's cool and all. Or they hate all the mortals, they want to kill everyone, that sort of thing. But here we have the Primal Incarnates, who it doesn't appear as if that is their problem. Their problem is the traces of the Titans. That's what she says. We are going to wipe every trace of the Titans off of Azeroth. Now, in this, we might be in danger because technically speaking, in a very roundabout way, we are a trace of the Titans, right? In a very roundabout way, but still, I think it is valid. But they don't seem to... Why didn't she kill the dragons? Why didn't she kill Rathian? She could have killed Rathian right there. She's much larger than him. One bite and Rathian was done. And yet she decided not to do so. Yeah, we also know that Alexstrasza seems to be very conflicted on that fight. Because when Rathian asked Alexstrasza, why did you not kill her? She couldn't. They were close. They were like clutch mates. They were friends. They simply rejected the gifts of the Titans. Now the question is, who did the right thing?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, we don't know. Well, did the Aspects make the right decision? Or was it the Primal Incarnates that made the right decision? I don't know. I don't know what that answer would be.
Yeah, well, we saw how the BFA Void Dragon was like, right?
Yeah, I mean, the Void Dragon, so... You see, the problem with like, Twilight Dragons, Void Dragons, those things, is... Dragons seems to be very adept at soaking up magic around them. So if there's enough void...
Yeah, I also thought,
yeah, they'll soak it up and they'll become that. Now... If a dragon were to soak up void, its power may almost inevitably become limited again, because is there an unlimited source of void for it to feed upon? Because there's a good chance that there isn't. There might be an unlimited amount of void, but there would have to be a void conduit of some sort for this dragon to actually feed upon. Now this is where we may come into the Rift of Arm. The Rift of Arm was closed by Malfurion because even Malfurion went, fuck that. As soon as he came onto it, he was like, never mind. We're just gonna leave this. We're just gonna leave this here. Back away slowly. We pretend this doesn't exist. That could either be a source of void, Or, and this was a question I got earlier today as well during the morning stream, it could be where Galakrond is. Galakrond, we know that most dragons go to the Emerald Dream upon death. It is possible that Galakrond lies within the Rift of Arm, and that the Primal Incarnates, their ultimate goal is to summon forth Galakrond, reborn and reinvigorated, because Galakrond was their sort of leader, quote unquote, before he died. So if Galakrond gets born again, we may be in some real trouble, because Galakrond has spent all of this time in the Rift of Arm being completely, shall we say, fueled by Void, because the Rift of Arm is inside the Emerald Nightmare. So it is possible that Galakrond has just been consuming an immeasurable amount of Void whilst under, inside the Rift of Arm. So yeah, we might be in some real trouble soon when it comes to Galakrond and the Primal Incarnates. Don't know. I genuinely don't know. That's my headcanon, Digit. I hope that answers that question for you.
Yeah, well.
I promise I will have more answers to that question as soon as the game comes out and I'm able to explore and find it.
Because also had like a thought, what if, I mean, the old gods, whenever the Void using a flash to transfer an old god in the shape or form, no? What happens? Well, is it possible that the old god can take the shape of a dragon? No. That would be like a...
Is it possible for an old god to take the shape of a dragon?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think so, no. I think the problem for old gods is there's no evidence to suggest that they have the ability to turn into anything other than what they are. They're very chaotic. Their magic is chaotic. Their form is chaotic. So, and in order to turn into something that you are not, you would need to have some level of order. Because if you're going to turn into a dragon, for example, there has to be order there. Dragons are incredibly ordered creatures. You know, they have two wings, they have a tail. There's things there that you can look at and say, well, that's not really how the old god creatures or the old gods look. They're much more willy-nilly go wherever the fuck you need to go. But then again, that might be where creatures like Xalatath comes in. Why was Xalatath created? Why is Xalatath mortal? Or at least, why does Xalatath look like a mortal? You know, could it be that the old gods have already started to experiment with changing themselves into other things, or experiment with things that could look like other things? We wouldn't know. We know that Xalatath tells us that everything we know is a lie.
So Ashar was a human, well, sort of a human. Now like a half-sided tentacles. And
True. No, there's a lot that we still have to... Yeah, why is Xalatath hot? Don't know. But, you know. I guess I know. The old gods had to have some eye candy. All the boys want to be with her. All the girls want to be her. Everyone follows. That's basically what it boils down to, you know. It's easy life.
Yeah.
Or as Saban said there, she's crazy. And if you've ever looked at any girl, when a girl is stupidly hot, she's crazy. So it stands to reason that you could do the reverse. All the crazies are stupidly hot, you know, and that does make sense.
No, it doesn't.
Digit, I really appreciate the question, but I think Digit, if I'm not mistaken, you said you had another question for me.
Yeah, well, this also related to primals, but that's like more like to a person called what you call sometimes the Green Jesus, Thrall. No?
Oh yeah, Thrall, yeah.
I mean, I'm not, I don't know, to be surprised or not surprised, but shouldn't he be put in this expansion as well? Because it's like totally filled with elementals, primalist elementals. I mean,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Use him to bring his old glory form of shaman. No?
I mean, I'm gonna be I'm going to be very surprised if they don't bring Green Jesus back in this expansion, especially if they don't give us some storyline with Green Jesus getting his powers back. Because, I mean, Thrall was there during Cataclysm. He was there when all of the aspects gave up their power. You know, he is considered, at least in all we know, to be the most powerful shaman on Azeroth. And he lost access to much of his own power, either because, it was taken from him or because he stopped believing in himself. But either way, Thrall has to be a part of this expansion in a massive way. He has to be part of it. I would feel cheated if I don't see him.
Unless they have another plans for another shaman to be next kin. No. We don't know who, right?
Yeah, but fuck that, man. Like, the thing is, I felt cheated in Shadowlands when we didn't see Arthas. I don't want to feel cheated again when we don't see Thrall. Thrall needs to be there. Like, how could you even have a story with the aspects getting their powers back and you don't have the original character there that took their powers from them? And I know he didn't technically take their power from them. They gifted their powers in order to take down Deathwing, but he was the one that howled the Dragon Soul. So he has to be there. And especially now that you have all these primal incarnates running around that is effectively using elemental magic, which is, by the way, what shamans use. So why wouldn't you have a being there that has control over the elements, that can help reorder the elements, that could probably help weaken these primal incarnates? Yeah, Thrall has to be there. There's just no way in my mind that Thrall isn't there. I would reject it entirely if they wrote Thrall out of this.
Agreed.
Yeah. That being said, I would also not want to see Sylvanas anywhere near this expansion. May I just make that clear? As someone that I consider myself a massive Sylvanas simp, but I've had enough of her. She's been in enough expansions. She needs to stay in the Maw, do a couple more years of dailies, and then we'll see her when she's well and truly pissed off.
She has his little line next to her. Yeah, don't worry.
Yeah, we'll see them again, but for now, let them both just fucking rest. For the love of God, let them rest. And I think we will see them rest quite a bit. As far as I know, Patty Matson is doing one of the voices in the new Dark Tide, and I think she's just picked up a couple of other voice acting contracts. I think I saw on Twitter that she's involved in a number of other projects, so it might be that she is taking a break from World of Warcraft. So, good news for everyone that don't like Sylvanas and everyone that feels like me. Sylvanas is amazing, but not right now. She's kind of like that really hot girlfriend that is also stupidly fucking crazy. You want her to come over, but not right now. You know, you're not horny enough yet to deal with that level of crazy. That's where I am with Sylvanas right now. I'm just like, let's leave it for now.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else that you wanted to ask?
I have more, but it's not for now. It's next time, maybe. Yeah.
All right, bro. No worries, man. Then I'll see you next time.
Yeah, thanks.
Digit, thank you very much, brother. Take care of yourself, man.
You too, mate.
Peace. All right, Abaddon, who is next?
Next, we have Sharky in the lobby, who has a question about Warhammer Tabletop.
Oh, shit. I don't know much about Warhammer Tabletop, but all right. Sharky, you have a question for me that I will probably not be able to answer. What's up, bro?
Hi, nice to see you again.
You too, man. What you been up to?
Working mostly.
Always fun. Always fun. So what's your question, bro?
So, I have one question, and I have a little bit of something, if it's all right to add, to go with your theory on the Emperor. My question for you, though, is, since diving into 40K, have you ever actually gotten a chance to play any of the tabletop stuff?
No. I have one. So hold up. Let me show you. This is the only miniature I have. And it was created for me by a viewer. A viewer made this for me, right? So that's the only miniature I have of Warhammer 40k. I don't have anything else, so even if I wanted to play tabletop stuff, I wouldn't be able to. But I do want to get more minis because I would eventually like to go into some kind of Warhammer 40k tabletop game just to see what it's like.
If you would like to do that in a way that you know how this is going to work, but there's Tabletop Sim, and they have a load of legally distinct assets that you could use if you just get the rulebooks online.
When you say legally distinct, are we going to sail the high seas, or are we not going to sail the high seas?
Think of Aldi versions of Warhammer.
Yeah. Think of Aldi versions of Warhammer.
All right. Are we allowed to stream those, or would we not be allowed to stream those?
I've seen people stream them, but I don't know how Games Workshop feels about that.
Fuck.
That would be something you're gonna have to actually look into. But I do know that they exist on Tabletop Sim, and I have seen people stream them on Twitch.
All right. Well, we may as well take a chance, right? At some point.
Yeah. And before I go, if it's all right, I have a little bit from the Emperor himself explaining how his foresight vision works to one of his custodies.
Yeah, let's go.
Because that might clear up a little bit or add to your theory.
Okay.
So this is from book 41 of the Horus Heresy.
Okay.
Master of Mankind.
All right.
The Emperor and his custodian Ra are having a powwow in between the battles, and Ra asked him how the Emperor has not foreseen what's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
To which the Emperor shows Ra a psychic vision of the both of them standing knee deep in some water, and a cliff's in front of them.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Yeah.
The Emperor says to him, "All right, do you see the top of the cliff?" Custodian, "Of course I do." "All right, that's the future. You see it. You know what it is. Now go to it." Ra hesitated. "Now?" "Yes, climb." So the custodian starts looking around for the best places to start climbing up, and he starts climbing.
Okay.
And then he falls. The rock that he thought was nice and solid breaks, and he stumbles. And he keeps going down and grabs another one, and that falls. And it sends him back down to the water, and the Emperor looks at him and says, "You look for places to safely grip, yet you've already stumbled. You did not know the stone was weak." It looked strong to the custodian. He smiled, and Ra was immediately disgusted. "Yes, it did, but you only learned the truth too late. Now try one more time." And that's kind of how the Emperor's foresight, at least according to him, works, is that he can see the big picture, but the time it would take him to actually map out every singular possibility, everything in creation will do, would take him more lifetimes than he's lived just to go down one route.
Yeah.
That's why he did know that one of the ways he could go was Horus would betray him, but he didn't know if he was on that track.
Yeah.
Or when it was gonna when it was gonna happen, or how it was gonna happen.
Yeah.
Later in the book, he even says to Ra, to this custodian, Horus has doomed humanity because it's gotten so bad.
Fuck. You see,
so this is
sort of where I am
the
with
official
it.
quote.
Yeah.
That is foresight, Ra, to know a trillion possible futures and to be left to guess at the infinite ways of arriving at each one. To map out even one eventuality, taking into account every decision that every living thing will make that will impact upon the others around it, would take all of the lifetimes I've already lived. The only way to know anything for certain, and the custodian chimes in, is to reach the other side. To get to the top.
All right, I know what you mean, and I see that, and that's kind of why I believe the Emperor planned as best he could, because he couldn't see exactly what the future would be, and that is the problem. Because the way that I see it, right? So let's say you have a vision of what the future would look like. That will change based on a number of things, including beings like Zeech that will fuck with the timeline and fuck with the future like no one's business, right? So even if you were to see a future, you would have to continuously revisit it in order to know if Zeech has changed something, or if one of the other old Chaos Gods have done something that they should not have done. So the way that I look at it is, the Emperor knew that Horus was going to betray him. He knew that due to this betrayal, there was a chance that he would die. And because of this, he started putting everything into place in order to ensure that when that eventuality actually does happen, he can still carry out his ultimate goal. Right? His ultimate goal. Now, the thing that I think the Emperor did not foresee is the state of humanity after he died. I think that the Emperor got wrong. Because the Emperor led humanity into what everyone could consider to be, literally, it was called the Golden Age of Humanity. Humanity was the strongest faction in the galaxy. No one wanted to fuck with us. Even the orcs. The orcs, by the way, for all of the World of Warcraft viewers right now that know nothing of Warhammer, allow me to just say this very quickly. Orcs do not run from a fight. Their favorite saying is "Wah," because that's all they do. They just want to fight. They have two gods, the orcs, Gork and Mork, and both of those gods basically just want to kill and kill and kill and fight and fight and fight. That's all the orcs do. They literally fight everything. They don't care. Even the orcs were signing non-aggression treaties with the Imperium of Man. They were like, fuck that. Like, we can't win this. These guys are way too fucking strong for us. Let's just leave it. So, you know, he had humanity at this point where if he were to die and humanity continued on that trend of the golden age of humanity, once he manifests within the void...
Now. He interacted with humanity once in the age of apostasy.
No, I know he knows. That's not the problem. I don't think he foresaw how humanity would become. He knows what humanity is now. I don't think that's what he saw. He thought that humanity would continue on this golden age of humanity, and that ultimately, humanity, once he manifests within the warp, humanity would fuck everything up and then give him the tools that he needs in order to take down all of the Chaos Gods. Because I don't even think the Chaos Gods stood a chance against humanity during the golden age of humanity. The main problem is that humanity have fallen so far that humanity can't really be of any help to him, because humanity can barely help themselves. And this is where, you know, he's now sort of relying purely on their religious aspects, because he destroyed all other religions. He's made it possible for him to become the only god that humanity actually knows, because he destroyed all other religions while he was alive. So once he was gone, humanity went for the only being that they knew that protected them once, and that was him. So the Emperor of Man is now the god to humanity. This means that all of the actions, all of the suffering, everything that humanity goes through is in the name of the Emperor. So it's just fueling him right now to eventually manifest within the warp. That's at least my read on it.
That sounds like what you think the Terminus decree might be.
It's getting ugly for them.
Kind of. Thanks for the 100 bits again, Ethan. Really appreciate that. The what might be? Sorry. The Terminus...
it's called the Terminus decree. The Grey Knights have a box that only the Supreme Grandmaster of the Grey Knights knows how to open, and he's only allowed to open it when the future of humanity is doomed.
Easy.
There is a seal on the box that mimics something that's on the Emperor's Golden Throne, but it has never been said what is in the box. It's just the final orders, in theory, of what the Emperor said to the Grey Knights in case humanity is doomed.
Shit.
But it's never actually been specified what it is, and they've never opened the box.
Shit. Alright, I'm looking forward to seeing that box open one day. Nico's by the way, Prime sub 15 months, part of the DJ Nation. Appreciate you. Thank you. All right, Sharky, I really appreciate the insights there. Did you have any other questions or things that you wanted to add, or was that it?
No, it was just about the tabletop thing and the extra information for the Emperor's lore bit. But if you are going to get into the tabletop and you don't want to spend like 4 hours playing one game, I would recommend Kill Team, because it's like 6 dudes and the game's about an hour in total.
All right, I don't mind long games. I can play games for hours anyway, so either way. But I'll definitely give it a try, especially since I know there are online versions of it now.
Yep.
So yeah, I appreciate that, bro. Thank you very much, Sharky.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Have a nice night.
The same to you, brother. Box is open, and we're gonna give you up, please. Oh shit. I think once they open that box, it is literally gonna be that. Pray hard, pray fast, everyone sacrifice yourselves so that I can manifest within the wall. That's what I think it's going to be. Abaddon, I'm assuming Curious is next.
I've not been able to verify the question and they're not responding, so I think they may be AFK.
Okay.
In which case, next I can go on to the written questions.
Yes, please. What is the first question?
Okay, so there's a couple of questions here from A. Shinigami from this morning. First, they ask, with learning more about Deathwing in this expansion, is he turning into an Illidan or is he still Nefarian, meaning he's not going to follow the same story beats?
Okay, so I think Nefarian was introduced in this expansion so that new players, especially players that haven't played since Cataclysm, would have an idea of who Deathwing is. I don't believe that Deathwing or Nalfarian was introduced into World of Warcraft in such a way as to basically bring him back. This would be a massive problem for me. World of Warcraft, almost every single time, they have revisited the past in order to bring back creatures from that past. It has almost never gone well. There's always been issues with that, where, you know, it's sort of... So Deathwing's story is incredibly sad. And it is, in my opinion, I even made a fucking short on this. It is one of the saddest stories in World of Warcraft. You know, Deathwing is the Earth Warder. He's considered to be the wisest of all of the dragons. He is the one that protects Azeroth with his life. And then he falls to the Chaos God, or the Old Gods. Sorry, not the Chaos Gods. He falls to the Old Gods. And then he eventually turns into something that he would himself not recognize if he saw it. Only to die a miserable death right at the end of it. And, by the way, take his brothers and sisters with him upon his death. So for Deathwing's death, it was impactful, it was meaningful, it was good. And I think it was, for its time, a glorious send-off. I sometimes wish that they would go back and change that fight to an actual dragon fight, but never mind. It was a glorious send-off. It was a good expansion, leading to a solid climax. I think everyone was happy with that. At least most people were happy with it. If they bring Deathwing back now, it sort of diminishes that original story. You know, because now Nalfarian is back, and maybe Nalfarian comes in with a, I knew it. I was trying to save you guys, but you wouldn't listen to me. And it's like, no. The story was impactful enough the first time, told in the way that it was supposed to be told. Don't change it now in order to fit some new narrative of, I was actually all along doing this for you. What they can do instead is do slight rewrites to show us that maybe he wasn't so misguided as we had once thought, thereby making his death actually very sad, but not destroying his legacy. So don't bring him back, but mainly give us information where we sort of go, maybe Deathwing wasn't wrong. You know, the fact that he turned to the Old Gods, you know, maybe there was an actual reason for that. If we didn't kill him, maybe we would have understood that. You know, so now you're sort of shifting it. So this could be a very powerful storytelling technique, because now you're sort of shifting the player into this position where the player goes, did we screw up? Like, maybe that was a big oopsie. We should not have done that. Which, of course, we've not really had in World of Warcraft ever, is those moments, and we spoke about this last week quite a lot, those moments of true loss where our actions may have caused a lot of the problems that we had subsequently had to have dealt with, and also a lot of the deaths that have happened due to the actions that we ourselves took. I would much rather them treat Deathwing in that way rather than bring him back, you know, make him alive, and now he's just, you know, big bad Deathwing is back and we're going to fight him at some point. Please no. Just please no. Also, I don't really see where that would fit into the whole Dragonflight, like, into the setting. The Primalists, or at least the primal incarnates, do not care about the aspects at all. You could hear it when Rathian said he wanted to be what Deathwing wasn't. She had no time for Nalfarian. Razageth did not like Nalfarian. She did not give a shit about Nalfarian. Async, by the way, thank you so much for the Prime sub. Really appreciate that. Fresh meat for the meat grinder. Welcome to the DJ Nation, bro. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, yeah, that's what I... That's what... Yeah. That's all I really have to say about that. Yeah.
Okay, the next question from is Shinigami. Says, what are some of the creations you'd like to see that were never shown by Deathwing, such as the Medico/Dragon hybrid?
It's not so much creations that he may have been a part of that I would like to see. I think it's more that I would like to know more about his creations. In other words, why? So I'm not really... So I've never really had a checklist of, you know, things like that I want to see more of. What I'm usually just left with is the why. So, for example, the chromatic dragons. Why? What was the drive behind creating chromatic dragons? You know, taking all of the dragon aspects, all of their power, and forcing it into a single clutch. What was that purpose? What was the reason? What were you trying to achieve? You know, taking his eggs to Outland. You know, was he gearing up for something even bigger on that side? What was the purpose? You know, and I'm talking about more than just the immediate purpose. Deathwing had so many experiments running with so many different dragon types, trying all manner of things. For what purpose? Was it to make the dragons stronger? Was it to create a very strong army for himself? Did he always have plans of conquest? And that's why he wanted this giant army? Was it perhaps an army to keep Azeroth safe? Because he realized that there's so many things that tries to attack Azeroth that he needs an army to do so. You know, I don't mind what that answer is, as long as there is an answer provided at some point for some of this. Don't necessarily have to answer all of it, because one or two answers gives us another, million reasons to speculate on the others. So let's say, for example, Blizzard told us just how Deathwing went about creating the chromatic dragons. Well, now suddenly we look at all of his other creations and we go, well, you know, this could be really interesting. I really want to know what this is. Same Raven, yeah, you're welcome to jump in. So Sleepy Moogle, how you doing? Do you want me to pull you up, Saven Raven? I'm assuming you have something to say in regards to this, right? Saven, how you doing?
Hi, how you been?
Not bad. Holy shit, it's been an age since we've spoken.
Oh wait, let me turn you off here. Oh, not this one? Okay.
Did you have something to add to the question, or did you want to ask another question?
I had about 4 for you that span back to Zereth Mortis.
All right.
If you read,
Hold up.
Go ahead.
If you're gonna are you're gonna ask new questions? Am I correct?
bring up points, yes.
Bring up points. Okay, no, that's fine then. Then I don't have to start another recording. We'll just go on this recording.
Okay. Zereth Mortis, when you go around the whole place, to me, Zereth Mortis, it even says it on the map. It's the end of death.
Mm-hmm.
If you go through, like, to me, Zereth Mortis isn't the land of death. It's the transition from death back to life. And if you look at all of the different soul forges and all of the forges,
Mm-hmm.
Zereth Mortis is dropping all of your earthly trappings. You get rid of your anger, spite, everything. And then you move past death. That's why the end of the map there is called the end of death.
Yeah.
And then you're pushed into the cycle, the other part of the cycle. The question, my nephew and I were talking about this, talking about why Azerothians don't go back to the Mortis. My nephew said, well, Oribos has been broken for a really, really long time.
Yeah.
It's not that we can't or she doesn't want us to, it's broken. Because never once when we die do we see a Kyrian, except when we do it in the quest. We go out with little happy hoppy feet and we go pick up that poor guy over in not Hillsbrad, the other place that we used to PvP all the time.
Yeah.
Pick him up and throw his ass in the maw. It's not that we can't go, something is stopping it. And I think it's because Oribos is broken. Don't know when.
You see, there would be one problem with that theory, and that is that the denizens of Zereth Mortis make it very clear that they have never seen mortals. Mortals are not supposed to be there. So that would be the one problem with that. If you go through the story of Zereth Mortis, they say it so many fucking times that it's sort of, at some point I was literally going, all right, I fucking get it, right? I'm not supposed to be here, but Jesus, your realm is falling apart and I have to be here. This is what the story says. But yeah, they make it very clear they do not want you there.
Okay. I'll go with that. I'll
Yeah.
go with that. What was the one on the Deathwing thing that people were talking about? They were talking about it in chat too.
Yeah. Chat's been popping off
Deathwing-
about Deathwing.
Yeah, to me, this is what I was thinking. Okay, if you know his fist he had in that movie, you know,
Yeah,
the gauntlet on that
yeah.
broke.
Uh-huh.
One thought on that is when you watch those cinematics and Emberthal is so upset,
Mhm.
if you think Deathwing knew what was coming when he gave in to the whispers,
Mhm.
he may have put them to sleep so they did not become what he was going to become. And also, if you look at the gauntlet he had on, it's the same color as the jewelry that the other aspects have. What if that gauntlet was controlling him and the other aspects? Because look at Alex Straza. She has beautiful jewelry, red and gold.
Yeah.
So, but Deathwings was broken then. And he went and reverted back to chaos because he was not controlled by that gauntlet. We never see him with jewelry after that, other than his adamantine stuff that he made himself.
Yeah. So my thinking around that is very similar. I think literally, 6 o'clock. My video is coming out about that. Speaking about what that Titan artifact actually is. I believe it's the artifact that Tyr had during their battle with Galakrond. I go into a lot more detail in the video, so I'll leave it for that. But yeah, I believe that ultimately the dragonflights, or the aspects specifically, were controlled. Now, you bring up an interesting point. What if each of them was given an item to control them?
A leash or a collar.
Yeah. So basically just something to, like I already said, Steve Denuser says the keepers poured a lot of arcane into the living waters, and it's not that they mind control them, it's more that they brainwash them. You know, it's more a case of, he didn't say brainwash, he said they just sort of teach them about order and how order is the right thing to be. You know, you have to be ordered and shit. You know, so kind of like we're not controlling you. We're just gently telling you that this is the way of the world, you know? And we just keep telling you over and over and over again until you sit there wide-eyed and going, this is the way of the world. Yes, I see what you mean there. You know, so that's sort of where I would like to see that happen. That's actually pretty cool.
Okay, well, that's enough of your time. I know I have about 9 other points. I just know you've got so busy. I've stopped DMing you because I know you've got them out the wazoo. So,
this is true. I really appreciate it, Saban.
All right, I'll talk to you later on.
Oh yeah, take care of yourself, Saban.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, Morny, how you doing, bro? You came literally right at the end.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I
cool,
overslept, man. My sinus infection has just been kicking my ass.
Bro, don't even worry about it. It is perfectly fine. Avedon took over and he did a bang-up job of it, so if you ever need help, you can pull in Avedon. By the way, speak to the other mods as well, but we need to get Avedon into, like, the mod situation. He's been applying for a while now. He's been wanting to become a mod.
Yeah, he is an acolyte right now. I was going to talk to him after the show.
Yeah. All right. So I think he's done enough to become a mod anyway. So let's make him a mod on Cult. Yeah, let's make him a mod on the Discord. If you are on Reddit, Avedon, please send me a message. Morny, you need to send me a message as well because you have to request mod status in the subreddit because I need some mods in the subreddit now. And then I'll make him a mod on Twitch as well. I could probably just do it right now. Hold up, let me just mod Avedon here. And then I have to, guys, very quickly stop the stream. I don't know if that even fucking worked. Because it doesn't actually tell me. Dude, why would it not mod Avedon? Okay, fuck me. I have to very quickly end the stream. And then I'm starting the stream again. Alright, Avedon, you should be a mod now. I'm gonna end the stream like 2 minutes. And then I'm gonna start the stream again. The only reason I have to do that is I have to jump into a Discord video call with Rurikon because we're now gonna start the podcast. Rurikon is literally waiting for me to start the podcast, so yeah, I'm literally gonna be back in like 2 minutes. Unfortunately, I only have the one camera, so I can't do one camera on Discord and one camera here. I have the one, so I have to quickly just switch it over to Discord. I wonder if I could do it. Well, I probably can't do it while the stream is going, right? Maybe I can? Hold up, let's see. If I turn that off, that doesn't actually turn it off. It just sort of, yeah, it's not going to work. No, I will have to end the stream, but it's going to be quick. Okay, so just bang around, keep yourselves fucking busy. I'm going to be back in literally 1 minute, 2 minutes tops. Okay, and then we start the podcast, and this will be the first ever live stream of the Frozen Sodium Throne. We've done 23 episodes already, but this is the first time live. So go take a piss, take a poo, and we'll be right back.